Howdy, my name's Sean Rooney, class of 2003. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Houston A&M Club's 2020 muster program. I'm this year's president, and I'm glad that you're able to join us no matter where you may be in the world. It's important for us to gather on Aggie muster and mark this solemn occasion. To begin our program, I'd like to call forth Reverend Ben Burnside, class of 2009, to lead us in our invocation.
Good evening, and let us pray. As A&M former students come together in all parts of the world, we pause to acknowledge the many blessings that have come our way the past years. We are humbly grateful for our Aggie heritage, the comradeship we enjoy because of our love for our university. We desire our sense of fellowship to spread to people in all schools and nations in order to bring the men and women of the world into a new bond of friendship and mutual understanding. In our fellowship, though it is virtual tonight, we pause to remember those who are absent. May we have a deep appreciation for the great examples and sacrifices given by those of us whom we honor by silver taps or by silent mourning. We wish for strength to try to do our task better in service to humanity, our nation, our university, and our associates. May this occasion inspire us to be strong in body, keen in mind, and friendly in society. Amen.
Thank you, Ben. Ben is the associate pastor here at Good Shepherd United Methodist Church in Cyprus. Good Shepherd has graciously allowed us to use their facility for tonight's streaming muster. When it became clear a few weeks ago that our traditional muster service would not be held as planned, we began to look for a facility to allow us to be here. Good Shepherd has made their technology, their know-how, and their facility available to us. So a special thank you to Ben, Senior Pastor Matt Nelly, and the entire Good Shepherd family. Conducting muster online only and missing out on the opportunity to gather and answer here for our missing comrades may not be our ideal picture of muster. But I think it is important that we gather and celebrate muster even in these challenging times. In fact, I think tonight's streaming muster service, along with the Association of Former Students worldwide roll call conducted online, is the perfect example of Aggie's meeting a challenge, adapting, and overcoming. The coronavirus is a challenge to us all, but being here online shows that even through these rough times, we can face the trials and tribulations and overcome them. During these uncertain times, one thing that has become clear to me is the need for service. The Houston A&M Club has prided ourselves on service to fellow Aggies and to our community. And during these challenging times, our partnership with our long-term partner, the Houston Food Bank, has become a prime focus of the group. I'd like to give special recognition to a former club president and a longtime Houston Aggie, William Wade, and along with other countless Houston Aggies who have been volunteering at the food bank through these trying times. As you may have seen in media coverage, the Houston Food Bank has become an even more important resource for members of our community. Through food donations, handing out at Reliant Arena, and other places throughout the community, the Houston Food Bank has shown that they are in need of service. The Houston Food Bank has put into place many safeguards to allow people to continue to serve and volunteer. If you're able and willing, I'd encourage you to go and volunteer at the Houston Food Bank. If you'd like to do so on behalf of the Houston A&M Club, please contact myself or William Wade. Like many other organizations, the Houston A&M Club has been forced to cancel many regular and special events over the past few weeks. Our weekly lunches across the city have been canceled, along with our special event with President Young in March and the Houston Aggie Night at with the Houston Dynamo scheduled for April. As we begin to get back to some sense of normalcy in the next few weeks, I ask that you be on the lookout for special announcements from the club on when some of these activities will resume. And when we do resume our downtown lunches, our lunches in the Galleria, the West Side and Memorial City, and the Medical Center, I encourage you to attend these lunches as they are a great time for fellowship and to show the Aggie spirit. While I do not have information on Coaches Night tonight to share with you, once we do, we will make an announcement on the details of that. As many of you know, Coaches Night is our biggest fundraiser event of the year. Through the Coaches Night and donations from our gracious sponsors and donors, we were able to award over $100,000 in scholarships to Houston area students last year. That number includes the establishment of the of a new endowed scholarship for the Aggie Achieve program. The Aggie Achieve program is a new program that serves special needs students and allows them to continue their lifelong dream of becoming an Aggie and spending time at the College Station campus. Our first endowed scholarship will be awarded in the next few weeks, with that student beginning school at A&M, hopefully in the fall. Please be on the lookout for announcements and publicity following that. I would also like to recognize and give thanks to our long-term muster sponsors, particularly Gregory Kokonos of the Kokonos Young Law Firm, class of 1979, and Dr. Stuart Harlan, class of 1983, from the UT Physicians Group. Their donations and sponsorships, along with your donations, has made a key difference in this community. As the club and the rest of the world continues to face the hardships from the COVID-19 crisis, fundraising and financial support will be a massive hurdle. Please help us through these challenging times in any way possible. We also hope to have an announcement on an in-person gathering to replace the camaraderie that we normally show at muster. Please be on the lookout for that. With that said, I'd like to thank you again for attending our online muster and turn it over to Charles McRae, class of 2013, our muster chair. Thank you.
Thank you to Sean and Ben for kicking off our very first Houston A&M Club virtual muster. Since they've already taken care of the traditional introductions, I'm just going to lead us into the muster tradition. Century-old roots provide the basis for muster for Aggies as we know it today. It has changed, yet the spirit in which it is established remains the same. Since the founding of Texas A&M, every Aggie has lived and become a part of the Aggie spirit. What we feel today is not just the fellow camaraderie of our Aggies, but is the spirit of hundreds of thousands of Aggies who have gone before us and who will come after us. Muster is how that spirit is remembered and celebrated, and it always will continue tonight to unite Texas A&M and the A&M Aggie family. A&M may change, but the spirit never will. And coming up, we're actually going to have a special broadcast from our guest speaker this year. It'll be Tony Busby, class of 90, giving us a speech on why it is more important than ever nowadays to keep the Aggie spirit alive in these troubling times. Tony Busby was a former member of the Corps of Cadets Company K2, decorated combat Marine, and former Texas A&M Regent, and a successful businessman and philanthropist. Busby has practiced law in Texas for over 20 years, and the New York Times has called him one of the most successful trial lawyers in the country. He often represents families of workers who have been killed or severely injured on the job. Before he found success in the courtroom, Busby attended Texas A&M. Upon graduation, he joined the United States Marines as an infantry officer and led recon Marines all over the globe. After the Marines, Busby was accepted into the University of Houston Law Center. He graduated summa cum laude. After serving as a federal judge's briefing attorney, Tony Busby started his own law firm. Busby has since been routinely recognized as one of the most successful and most talented lawyers in the United States. Busby served as regent of Texas A&M and endowed the dean's chair at the Texas A&M University School of Law. In 2017, the Tony Busby Class of 90 Leadership Learning Center was completed as part of the most comprehensive renovation project undertaken on the Quad since it was built in 1939. The building is one of four-story learning centers equipped with state-of-the-art computer labs, small and large group study rooms, and instructional rooms. These facilities total nearly 100,000 square feet and are dedicated to the academic success and professional development of Texas A&M cadets. We are honored to have him join us for our virtual muster, and his message is coming up.
Howdy, Ags. It's an honor to be asked to speak at this year's muster. I wish this mess was behind us and we all could be together. But the truth is, as Aggies, with the bond we have, we are always together in some respect. I'm glad we have found a safe way to appropriately celebrate and honor our fellow Aggies. I'm a product of the Texas Aggie Corps Cadets. I remember an upperclassman would always quiz us. Fish Busby, what is Aggie muster? This was one of the first campusology questions I learned as a fish in Company K2 back in 1986. Before that, I had never ventured far out of Cass County, which is in deep northeast Texas, and Aggieland was a stark change for me. I was just a kid who lived 9 miles outside of a town less than 2,000 people. Learning the Aggie traditions together with my fellow fish created not only a bond with them and other Aggies, but with the school I still love so much. Aggie muster, in my view, is one of our most meaningful traditions. Today is the day we honor our fellow Aggies. And in response to my upperclassman's question, in my loudest voice I would say, Sir, on April 21st each year, on the anniversary of the Battle of San Jacinto, Aggies gather together wherever they are to commemorate fellow Aggies who have died during the year. The tradition was begun 21 April 1903. For more than a century, Aggies have gathered on San Jacinto Day to celebrate the camaraderie of our school and to remember those who have passed on. The tradition has continued in ordinary times and even in times of war. From the tunnels of Corregidor to the icy mountains of Korea, from the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of the Mideast. So today we gather in our same tradition despite the pandemic sweeping Texas and our country, because Aggie traditions do not break under adversity. This time, however, for the first time in our history, we carry on our tradition via technology that brings us together when protective dictates demand that we keep our social distance. Today, as Aggies continue to defend our country and way of life around the world, other Aggies are working diligently in laboratories to discover methods of fighting this scourge of this new virus. Now, no one knows what the new normal will be when this is all over, but we know we will get through this, and I am confident that we will be stronger and more resilient when this whole ordeal is in our rearview mirror. A little more history, beyond the campusology. To be precise, Aggies first gathered for what has become known as Aggie Muster on June 26, 1883, only 7 years after the college was established, and the declared purpose of gathering was to, quote, live over again their college days, the victories and defeats won and lost upon the drill field and the classroom, end quote. That same year, the former Cadets Association established the roll call for the absent. In 1889, A&M administrators declared April 21st, San Jacinto Day, as an official school holiday. And then later, in 1903, Aggies merged our muster with Texas Independence Day. In 1918, with many Aggies fighting overseas in Europe, A&M President Bazell encouraged Aggies to gather together with other Aggies wherever they were to honor their school and to honor our dead. The March 1923 edition of Texas Aggie urged, if there is an A&M man within 100 miles of you, you are expected to get together, eat a little, and live over the days you spent at the A&M College of Texas. The muster of 1924 included the roll call of the absent, the reading of the names of the dead for whom an attending Aggie would answer, here. Playing of taps was added 3 years later. As a deployed infantry officer in the Marines, I have mustered overseas twice. One time there were 4 of us Aggies. The other time there were just 2. To muster is to honor not only those who have passed, but to honor our traditions, our shared beliefs, and the school that we all love so much. And we know when our time comes, there will be a fellow Aggie there for us, remembering and answering here. Although these are trying times, today is a good day, an especially good day to be an Aggie and an American. Attending muster today around the world are Aggies, both men and women of all ages, American and international graduates. We are a brotherhood and sisterhood that is complex to describe for us members and impossible to understand if you're not so fortunate to be an Aggie. U.S. Marine Corps Colonel Chesty Puller perhaps best explained the unity that also applies to us Aggies. He said, old breed, new breed, there's not a damn bit of difference so long as it's the Marine breed. So I say the same. Old Ag, new Ag, old Army, new Army, there's not a damn bit of difference. We're all Aggies, part of the same tradition. A friend and fellow Aggie, class of 1968, whose immune system has been compromised by cancer and cancer treatment, related to me a few days ago a story of Aggies looking out for Aggies. He said that since the beginning of this pandemic, fellow Aggies have been calling and emailing him repeatedly to check on his health. Of course, some of his neighbors and former business associates are doing the same, but to him it has been classmates and fellow Aggies who have provided the greatest support and encouragement. I've had the same experience. Just yesterday, perhaps the most famous Aggie of them all, former Texas Governor and Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, called me just to check in, to see how me and my family were doing during these trying times. The point is, Aggies take care of Aggies. And I have to mention this because it still weighs heavy on my heart. Only a few days ago, we lost one of my favorite upperclassmen in the Corps of Cadets, Lee Hassman, class of 1988. Lee was retired as a lieutenant commander from the Navy, and after his service as a naval flight officer, he returned to College Station, where he served as a cadet training officer for the Corps of Cadets, helping young cadets navigate their way to graduation. Lee was truly a good person. He will be sorely missed. And for him, I say, here. Lastly, I'd like to say to you, this too will pass. It will be a challenge, of course, for us to quickly return to pre-pandemic economic and cultural levels. But Aggies can lead the way. I encourage you all to take an active part. Get out there and support your local businesses, especially those that are Aggie-owned. Use your influence and use your wealth to get us back on track. Remember, crises refine and ultimately define life. In them, you discover what you are and who you are. I have no doubt that we all will prevail. As Warren Buffett once said, in the 20th century alone, the United States endured 2 world wars and other traumatic and expensive military conflicts, a depression, a dozen or so recessions and financial panics, oil shocks, a flu epidemic, and the resignation of a disgraced president. Yet, during that same time frame, the Dow rose from 66 to 11,497. Now imagine how much influence 144 years of Texas A&M graduates can have on this recovery. Let it begin with you, as leaders, as role models, as Aggies. Social distancing is not a problem for we Aggies. We don't need to shake hands or hug. Our howdy says and does it all. Before closing, I should note that there is one good thing about this pandemic-induced virtual muster. There is no need for a designated driver. So, wherever you are, lift your glasses high. Remember and toast those Aggies for whom we have answered today here. And also toast the future and to the absolute privilege of being graduates of Texas A&M University. God bless you all.
It was Judgment Day in Aggie Land, and tenseness filled the air. All knew there was a trip at hand, but not a soul knew where. Assembled on the drill field was the world-renowned 12th man, the entire Fighting Aggie team, and the famous Aggie Band. And out in front with Royal Guard, the reviewing party stood. St. Peter and his angel staff were choosing bad from good. First he surveyed the Aggie team, and in terms of an angel swore, "By Jove, I do believe I've seen this gallant group before. I've seen them play since way back when, and they've always had the grit. I've seen 'em lose, and I've seen 'em win, but I've never seen 'em quit. No need for us to tarry here, deciding upon their fates. 'Tis plain as the halo on my head that they've opened heaven's gates. And when the 12th man heard this, they let out a mighty yell that echoed clear to heaven and shook the gates of hell. And what group is this upon the side, St. Peter asked his aide, that swelled as if to burst with pride when we our judgment made? Why, sir, that's the Cadet Corps, that's known both far and wide for backing up their fighting team, whether they've won, lost, or tied. Well then, said St. Peter, it's very plain to me that within the realms of heaven they should spend eternity. And have the Texas Aggie band at once commence to play, for their fates too we must decide upon this crucial day. And the drum major, so hearing, slowly raised his hand and said, Boys, let's play the Spirit for the last time in Aggie land. And the band poured forth the anthem in notes both bright and clear, and 10,000 Aggie voices sang the song they hold so dear. And when the band had finished, St. Peter wiped his eyes and said, It's not so hard to see. They're meant for paradise. And the colonel of the Cadet Corps said, as he stiffly took his stand, It's just another corps trip, boys. We'll march in behind the band.
Roll call for the absent. In many lands and climes this April day, proud sons of Texas A&M unite. Our loyalty to country, school, we pray, and seal our pact with bond of common might. We live again those happy days of yore, on campus, field, in classroom, dorm, at drill. Fond memory brings a sigh, but nothing more. Now we are men, and life's a greater thrill. On Corregidor, 78 years ago today, a band of gallant Aggies led by Moore held simple rites which led us doth all to say, the spirit shall prevail through cannon roar. Before we part and go upon our way, we pause to honor those we knew so well. The old familiar faces we miss so much today left cherished recollections that time cannot dispel. Softly call the muster, let comrade answer here. Their spirits hover around us as if to bring us cheer. Mark them present in our hearts. We'll meet some other day. There is no death but life etern for our old friends such as they. John H. Ratliff, class of 34.
Here.
Philip Waters, class of 40.
Here.
A. Ed Gerlach, class of 41.
Here.
Homer John Moore, Jr., class of 41.
Here.
Lee Preston Ward, Jr., class of 41.
Here.
Robert H. Abbott, Jr., class of 42.
Here.
Lieutenant Colonel Alfred David Gunn, Sr., class of 42.
Here.
Harry Milton Holcamp, class of 43.
Here.
Raymond Wagner, class of 43.
Here.
Lieutenant Colonel Robert Lee Powell, Jr., class of 44.
Here.
Henry Wiley Harding, class of 45.
Here.
William George Johnson, Jr., class of 45.
Here.
Jewel F. Plangman, Jr., class of 45.
Here.
Louis Solomon, class of 45.
Here.
James Cleveland Weisinger, class of 45.
Here.
Oscar Marvin Wilkinson, Jr., class of 45.
Here.
Gordon Oscar Davis, Jr., class of 46.
Here.
Dr. M. Truett Garrett, Jr., class of 46.
Here.
Thomas W. Kelly, Jr., class of 46.
Here.
Leonard Morris Gabbert, class of 47.
Here.
Eugene Decker Manley, class of 47.
Here.
Leopold DeBlanc Pellerin, class of 47.
Here.
William Bill Costin, class of 49.
Here.
William C. Cowan, class of 49.
Here.
John Taylor Hutchin, Jr., class of 49.
Here.
Albert Samuel Peterson, class of 49.
Here.
Arnold M. Walco, class of 49.
Here.
Walter Lazenby Williams, class of 49.
Here.
Elucid Clyde Francis, class of 50.
Here.
William A. Gilbreth, Jr., class of 50.
Here.
Michael Carl Giltsch, class of 50.
Here.
Lane Elroy Horstman, class of 50.
Here.
William Thomas Plagans, class of 50.
Here.
Kenneth Eugene Ritter, class of 50.
Here.
Lieutenant Colonel Roy J. West, class of 50.
Here.
Jack New, class of 51.
Here.
Frederick Bredthauer, Jr., class of 52.
Here.
William Daniel, class of 52.
Here.
Jack J. Fink, class of 52.
Here.
Don Lippincott, class of 52.
Here.
Thomas Gale Mabray, class of 52.
Here.
Charles Edward Burgess, class of 53.
Here.
Tommy George Hall, class of 53.
Here.
John Jacobson, class of 53.
Here.
Waldo Wells Hensley, Jr., class of 54.
Here.
Glenn Roger Fell, class of 54.
Here.
Albert Ray Frankson, class of 55.
Here.
Dr. Jed Green, class of 55.
Here.
Richard L. Jones, Jr., class of 55.
Here.
Philip G. Sanders, class of 55.
Here.
Jack Edgar Spell, class of 55.
Here.
Edmund Davis Wolf, class of 55.
Here.
Billy P. Pete Huddleston, class of 56.
Here.
John Lawrence Irwin, class of 56.
Here.
Dr. James Walmsley, class of 56.
Here.
Donald A. Watson, class of 56.
Here.
J. Albert, class of 57.
Here.
Grantley Warren Bodine, class of 57.
Here.
Dr. Jimmy Burns, class of 57.
Here.
Paul Eugene Harrison, class of 57.
Here.
James Manley, class of 57.
Here.
Philip G. Harrison, class of 58.
Here.
Wilson Bruce Hudson, class of 59.
Here.
Harold Lee Ogden, class of 59.
Here.
Don Hamilton Peterson, class of 59.
Here.
Millard Fritz Shue, Jr., class of 59.
Here.
Billy Don Sevier, class of 59.
Here.
Oscar Lee Atkins, class of 60.
Here.
John Hoover, class of 60.
Here.
Charles Morris Kohler, Sr., class of 60.
Here.
William Lindsay, class of 60.
Here.
Charles Allen McBride, class of 60.
Here.
Alan Owings, class of 60.
Here.
Joseph John Skerka, class of 60.
Here.
Reverend Dr. Harry Peter Harrington, class of 61.
Here.
John Barnett O'Brien, class of 61.
Here.
James Rector, class of 61.
Here.
Richard Jacobs Reiser, class of 61.
Here.
Lawrence Robert Gardner, class of 62.
Here.
Robert A. Lee, class of 62.
Here.
Lynn James Ratcliffe, class of 62.
Here.
Michael D. Walker, class of 62.
Here.
James William Brewer, class of 63.
Here.
Colonel Gerald Gallatin Fonville, class of 63.
Here.
Joseph Paul Kirker, class of 63.
Here.
Delbert William Van Cleve, class of 64.
Here.
Charles Edwin Berg, class of 65.
Here.
Dr. Rodney G. Lee, class of 65.
Here.
Harold Robert Stafford, class of 65.
Here.
Mildred M. Foy, class of 67.
Here.
Richard S. Bacchus, class of 68.
Here.
Dr. Arnold N. Levine, class of 68.
Here.
Gary Edward Bearden, class of 69.
Here.
Tommy D. Clark, class of 69.
Here.
Donald Joe Cole, class of 69.
Here.
Roger Wayne Klopp, class of 69.
Here.
Dr. Jerry Bob Pierce, class of 69.
Here.
Thomas Roberts, class of 69.
Here.
Richard Frederick Smullen, Jr., class of 69.
Here.
James Story, class of 69.
Here.
Dr. James Brian Dennis, class of 70.
Here.
Leonard John Kowalski, class of 70.
Here.
Lee Philip Schrangler, class of 70.
Here.
Joseph V. Tatoris, Jr., class of 70.
Here.
Tom Ben Wysott, class of 70.
Here.
Glenn Handel, class of 71.
Here.
William Rusty Howard, class of 71.
Here.
John Walter Vogelsang, Jr., class of 71.
Here.
Philip Waldrop, class of 71.
Here.
Robert Stephen Flumock, class of 72.
Here.
Rudolph J. Nedick, Jr., class of 72.
Here.
Jep E. Pate, Jr., class of 72.
Here.
David Wrights, class of 72.
Here.
James Watkins, class of 72.
Here.
Barbara B. McKnight, class of 73.
Here.
Stephen Dale Snyder, class of 73.
Here.
Reed Michael Sathoff, class of 74.
Here.
Ronald Trammell, class of 74.
Here.
John Allen, class of 75.
Here.
Timothy Kelly Curtis, class of 75.
Here.
Stephen R. Gibson, class of 75.
Here.
Dr. Balaji Singh, class of 75.
Here.
Carol S. Yeoman, class of 75.
Here.
Paul Allen Bradshaw, class of 77.
Here.
Charles Ellery Durrett, Jr., class of 78.
Here.
Jerry Alton Moon, Jr., class of 78.
Here.
Cynthia D. Rathmill, class of 78.
Here.
Dr. Frederick Charles Schlemmer II, class of 78.
Here.
Thomas Lloyd Swanky, class of 78.
Here.
Dr. Benjamin Tharp, 1978, class of 78. Glenn Ross Ashley, class of 79.
Here.
Karen Bartels, class of 79.
Here.
H. Sparks Doris, class of 79.
Here.
Margaret Saunders, class of 79.
Here.
David E. Woodruff, class of 79.
Here.
Otto Fanini, class of 80.
Here.
Chester J. Fields, class of 80.
Here.
Jim Horde, class of 80.
Here.
James H. Prestidge, Jr., class of 80.
Here.
Jimmy Tevis, class of 80.
Here.
Stephen Burton, class of 81.
Here.
Kathleen Mary Davis, class of 81.
Here.
Dr. Ronald Lee Dilly, class of 81.
Here.
Barney Eldridge, class of 81.
Here.
Diane Drayling Forgeson, class of 81.
Here.
Charles Hatley, class of 81.
Here.
Julia Spinn, class of 81.
Here.
Melvin K. Davis, Jr., class of 82.
Here.
Gregory E. Hall, class of 82.
Here.
Jennifer L. Lowry, class of 82.
Here.
Colin G. Bates, class of 83.
Here.
Gary E. David, class of 83.
Here.
Marla D. Jones, class of 83.
Here.
Stephen Lilly, class of 83.
Here.
Leslie Ann Carr, class of 84.
Here.
Julie Janik Martin, class of 85.
Here.
Ricky D. Nowak, class of 85.
Here.
Richard Sepulveda, class of 85.
Here.
Anthony Richard Kotara, Jr., class of 87.
Here.
Mark Jeffrey Snoffer, class of 87.
Here.
Jana Boyle, class of 88.
Here.
Mark Frederick Dastuge, class of 88.
Here.
Dr. Van A. Walker, class of 88.
Here.
David V. Wilson II, class of 89.
Here.
Carrie Dwayne Moore, class of 90.
Here.
Dr. William Lee Richardson, class of 90.
Here.
Todd W. Carroll, class of 92.
Here.
Coy Bright Schneider, class of 92.
Here.
Derek Tham, class of 92.
Here.
Paul Jonathan Brown, class of 93.
Here.
Professor John Joseph Knopf Jr., class of 93.
Here.
Gregory D. Denby, class of 94.
Here.
William Rogers, class of 94.
Here.
Beverly Reynolds Baum, class of 95.
Here.
Brooke A. Chaffee, class of 96.
Here.
Laramie Wingate, class of 96.
Here.
Thomas T.J. Avery, class of 97.
Here.
Leopold Chavez, class of 97.
Here.
Charles Moore, class of 97.
Here.
Mark A. Smith, class of 97.
Here.
William Easterwood, class of 98.
Here.
Charles Edward Ferguson IV, class of 98.
Here.
Charles Lee Doherty, class of 99.
Here.
Marcus Ortiz, class of 99.
Here.
Sarah Durkowski, class of 01.
Here.
William R. Ingersoll, class of 01.
Here.
Angelique Giselle Montes Gamard, class of 02.
Here.
Catherine Elizabeth Broyles Nance, class of 02.
Here.
Clayton Williams, class of 03.
Here.
Megan Rothwell, class of 04.
Here.
Melissa Ann Estes, class of 06.
Here.
Marty Suzanne Fleming, class of 07.
Here.
Shondi Lee Sellers, class of 08.
Here.
Peter Joseph Simeon III, class of 09.
Here.
Kong Thon No, class of 10.
Here.
Lauren Michael Morgan, class of 13.
Here.
Gerald Charles Gilbert, class of 15.
Here.
Travis Culberson Gray, class of 15.
Here.
Jude Valentine Agua, class of 16.
Here.
Gregory Schooley, class of 18.
Here.
Vladimir N. Yelkimov, class of 19.
Here.
Stephen Devon Anderson, class of 20.
Here.
Cameron McNeff, class of 20.
Here.
Roberto Arturo Acosta, class of 21.
Here.
Yvette Ann Barbier, class of 21.
Here.
Dale Brown, associate member.
Here.
Donald K. Higginbottom, associate member.
Here.
Dr. John J. Coldus III, associate member.
Here.
Joe M. Reynolds, associate member.
Here.
Dr. Alvin I. Thomas, associate member.
Here.
Former Texas A&M President Dr. William Mobley.
Here.
Clayton Clady Williams Jr., class of 54.
We stood a little taller and a little prouder then, when we heard the call of muster and the roll call just begin. We stood there all together and wiped away the tears when our names were called out softly and answered with a "Here." And so we've joined together with our brothers of the past to make our final resting place at Aggie Land our last. We take a toast to our brotherhood wherever they may roam. For us the trek is over. Aggie Land, we're coming home.
The 2020 Texas A&M muster in Houston, Texas is now complete. I charge you each to remain firm in your loyalty to your country and to your God, to keep warm in your hearts your affection for each other and for our alma mater. The muster is dismissed until April 21st, 2021, and may God be with us until we meet again, hopefully in person next time. Be sure to stay tuned for any updates regarding a social gathering for Aggies later on this year. And I wanted to again thank our sponsors, Gregory Kokonos, class of 79 of Kokonos Young, and Dr. Stuart Harlan, class of 83 of UT Cardiothoracic and Vascular Surgery. Also, thank you to our volunteers who helped put this event together, working with me diligently over these past weeks to make sure that we are still able to provide a muster ceremony despite these troubling times. Until next year, Ags, take care.